Energy is a key input for manufacturing industry in addition to the material resources required. So these days we study the energy efficiency from two perspectives. One is the environmental perspective, other is the cost perspective. During the last 10 years, the cost of energy has almost tripled. And the energy consumption throughout the world as well as in India has increased to a great extent. For example, for India, the energy consumption by the manufacturing was 5.5% machining in 2009, but it is expected to go to 8.6% in 2035. A large jump in absolute numbers. So what is that? Any reduction in energy consumption of machine tool will lead to the environmental as well as the economical benefits for the industry. Just to explain as a layman, the advantages of energy reduction, that reduction of 1% energy consumption for machining activities can save about 200 petajoules per year. That's a huge amount of energy saving just by saving 1% of that 33% reduction. And just to compare it with the other industry, automotive industry, which is mostly targeted for carbon emissions, the annual carbon emissions of one CNC machine tool, taking into consumption the one machine tool, is equivalent to 61 SUVs, taking into consideration that each SUV runs 12,000 miles per year and consumes about 30.7 miles per gallon. So it is not focused, machine tool energy efficiency. The other factor, why should we take the machine tool energy efficiency, is because of the carbon emission. 99% carbon emissions from the machine tool comes from the electricity consumption. Eco-design, that now about my particular research. So the energy efficiency, there are two types of energy consumption in the machine tool. One is the fixed energy, other is the variable energy. Since 1907, when the Taylor equation came into existence, there are thousands and many thousands of research which talks about the optimization of cutting parameters. But the variable energy consumption, that is the cutting energy consumption of a machine tool, is about 15%. 85% of the energy consumption by machine tool is the fixed energy, which has not been targeted by the researchers too much. So that is our focus of my research, is that we should target that 85% of energy consumption, which can lead to more benefits. But targeting this 85% has to come from the different perspective. Like your modeling of the energy consumption has to be different. Your strategies of the energy consumption reduction has to be different, and your evaluation has to be more pragmatic for the machine tool energy efficiency. So that is, we have developed a few models in each of these areas, and it has been published in the Journal of Culinary Production, which is a very respected journal in this area. So we did a lot of research in the green manufacturing or sustainable manufacturing about 10 years back. Then we found that there are overall enablers for sustainable or green manufacturing, which can be broadly classified into the internal enablers within the organization, or the policy drivers, which are based on the government policy decisions, or the economic drivers. So all this classification is done with the empirical studies from India and Germany particularly, and we found that most of the barriers, particularly, I will come to what are the various barriers. In India and Germany are same, except one barrier. So Indian organizations should not think about that we have more barriers to sustainable manufacturing than the developed countries. Except one barrier, they are the same. So like internal barriers are the low top management commitment or lack of resources, technological resources, as well as the organizational human resources, or the technology risk. Of course, this technology risk is huge because the newer technologies, they are costly, and lack of awareness. Lack of awareness at three levels: general public, in the industry management, as well as the government decisions. Then about the policy drivers, which are about the legislation. One of the current legislation, and bigger than the current legislations are the future legislations. Our industry, when we spoke to the industry people, they says that we are not certain about future legislations. And when we combine the costly technology for green manufacturing, then that becomes a very powerful barrier. Because future, we don't know what will be the benefit of the future. And the low public pressure for the green products for sustainability issues. When it comes to the economic barriers, it's about the high short-term cost. The high short-term cost for the green manufacturing is high. Of course, there are studies which show that the long-term cost for the green manufacturing will be lower. And it's about the uncertain benefits. This is also one of the major drawback or the barrier to sustainable manufacturing. The benefits are not tangible. If I would like to give an example, it's like something, if we save the environment today, we do the improvements, bring the green technology, what will be the benefits in the environment? They are not quantified environmental benefits. Of course, there are research now in the last 3-4 years that environmental benefits are also being quantized. But one of the major benefits of green tech manufacturing is the social benefit. They are not yet quantified. So benefits are uncertain and intangible. So these are the drivers. Of course, these enablers, when these drivers are mitigated, they also become enablers. Most of the enablers. But one particular enabler or driver for in Indian context is the supply chain pressure. So our empirical relation found that most of the Indian companies, particularly in the automotive sector, where we export the parts, they implement sustainable manufacturing because of the supply chain pressure. So to start with, this is not a bad option. So many of the original equipment manufacturers, they demand that you should have various types of legislations to be fulfilled. So that's one of them. But in Germany, we found they are more about competitive. They implement sustainable manufacturing to improve their organizational competitiveness. That's the one major difference I told you about the German.